Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, residents, team members, and families. Whether you're listening here live or the video tonight, thank you for tuning in. It is Monday, April 20th at 3 o'clock. I hope this message finds you well. The format for today, we have a little update from the governor's press briefing that just took place moments ago. I have a general announcement about culture and person-centered care and transparency. And then Beth Burrell is here. She's going to talk a little bit about the buzz around the community. I'll circle back with some other administrative updates, and then Trish Carter will close us out with some spiritual health. So the governor press conference today really centered around the questions related to the media with respect to two things. One was CMS, which is the Center for Medicare Services, recommendation of notifying families and residents about positive cases and deaths, so that he's working with CMS on working out a plan related to the Commonwealth of Virginia. Virginia's working with providers to get us the report and notify us of data and tracking of the virus. I do have a very specific comment about that here coming up in my opening remarks. There was another question that came in about families pulling their loved ones from long-term care in assisted living communities. And the answer was if and when it's possible, and that the state is working on a document to help families understand that what it means and how to determine if it's safe for a resident as far as those would be caring for the individual. I've been working over the last 3 days working with the Department of Health to help me understand a little bit further about their perspective, since they put that out there, I believe, on Friday. I don't believe that pulling people from a healthcare community, whether it's a nursing home or assisted living community, and bringing them back into a variety of environments is the healthiest option right this second. So yours truly is working, again, with the Department of Health, very closely with the Department of Health to understand that answer that they provided late last week. And then there was another question about hospitals discharging people out to rehab facilities and concern for those that already have loved ones. The governor stressed the capacity between hospitals and long-term care communities, how critical it is right now, that capacity is managed so that we can deal further with the surge that's coming in these next 7 days. So it was an interesting press briefing, and if anybody has any other further questions about that press briefing, then feel free to call down to the administration office. So I want to touch on something I've been thinking about all weekend long. And it has to do with this phrase here you see on the TV. We have no known COVID-19 cases at this time. We have been saying that for the last 7 weeks, up until Friday. And so I've been reflecting over the weekend on how to honor and balance a few things. One is our organizational values. Second is our resident-centered culture, transparency, and then there's some things at my core, my leadership philosophy, that I'm trying to balance all those four things in a time of COVID-19. It was it's great to announce that you have no known cases, but where does that dashboard stop is the question I kept asking myself throughout the weekend. I've always been honest with the residents. I've always been honest with all the team members, and I want to continue that. And I want to continue letting people know when we have cases. However, I don't want to have a conversation together on this live chat, and I don't want it to be a scorecard. Someone said earlier to me, like a sporting event. I have great unease reporting to you a dashboard on this live feed of just reciting statistics of how many people are tested, how many are positive, how many are negative, when were the results come back with people, when or how many people passed away, did they pass away of COVID-19. I have a huge trepidation right now of just announcing all of those statistics. Not for the sake of transparency, but every week at Cedarfield, we have residents that pass away. We honor them, we honor their memory in a variety of ways, in a variety of special ways. And those ways are unique to Cedarfield, and we will continue to do that. But in my opinion, now is not the time to disrespect families and or the privacy commitments by making public announcements. But to let people know, as we have when we have lost a resident, and how we can celebrate their lives instead of viewing things as a case or how many people have died of COVID-19. What I do want to do is I want to honor the residents. I want to honor your legacy. And I want Cedarfield to celebrate the life of an individual here without a scorecard, a dashboard associated with it. We are 100% focused on doing everything we can to maintain a safe environment and also provide you with services and policies to keep you safe and healthy and alive based on the best and most up-to-date knowledge from the Department of Health, our Pinnacle Living Office, and other partners that we have with us locally and regionally to get through this crisis. I want to keep you all focused, laser focused on a couple things. Focused on personal responsibility so that we're all taking our own part in doing the right things, which is some really simple things have not gone by the wayside. Washing our hands frequently, covering our face with masks, eating well, exercising, using our 9 domains of well-being, doing all the right things for our neighbors. Staying on campus as much as we can, keeping physical distance in the halls and outside. And I know you are all probably tired of me saying the same thing, but it's these things that have been proven to flatten the curve and keep people safe. We are all in this together. This morning when I was talking with the management team, I was driving into the campus and I stopped right in the middle of Cedarfield Parkway, and I had the cottages to the left of me, cottages to the right, and I'm looking at the main building, and I just thought I could not be more proud. I call it Cedarfield proud. I could not be more proud every day coming into work, working with the most dedicated people I have had in 23 years, working tirelessly to reinvent systems and process to deliver the best possible services we can in the worst possible circumstances. And I am so proud of the residents. You've taken all of our recommendations to heart. You're practicing physical distancing. You're eating alone. You're staying on campus. You're trying to stay strong and healthy. And I could not be more proud of you. I know without a shadow of a doubt that you've gone through harder things in your lifetime. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for your commitment thus far. We have 7 more days to get to our peak, and then we have to go down that bell curve for the next several weeks. And we're all in this together. As always, my administration door is always open. The phones are alive, email, texts. I'd be happy to hear from you about this topic. I want to be transparent. I want to give you information, but I don't want to turn this live stream into a scorecard, if that makes sense. But I would love to hear your feedback. So this slide just had a little bit to do with our culture yesterday, today, and tomorrow, as I was talking about. Again, I'm trying to balance our values, our person-centered philosophy, transparency, and then things I have learned throughout 23 years. So a little bit on the media. Those of you that may need to leave the community to get essentials at the supermarket, or those of you that are watching TV and seeing Cedarfield highlighted, the Richmond Times-Dispatch, Channel 12, a couple other news stations that have picked it up. We have a policy that any news media that shows up, they have to be by the curb over at Free Chop Road. They can't come onto the campus. This is private property. But we do want to be transparent with them as well. And over the last 3 days, working in concert with the Pinnacle Living Office, if media does show up, we give them a little piece of paper about their name and number, and we get back to them. We've gotten back to 8 different media outlets over the last several days, and giving them information that you have at your fingertips in that memo, and or some, as you might have heard on Channel 12 on Sunday, Chris Henderson, our Chief Executive Officer, was giving a little bit more detail about what we're doing with technology and trying to keep residents connected to our 9 domains of well-being. So if you have not left the campus in the last several days, and you do over the next couple days ahead, and you see media out on Free Chop, I wanted to give you some advance notice that they're out there, as they are at many retirement communities in Rico County. There are 74 nursing homes in the county, and there is great interest within the media about what's happening with COVID-19, especially those campuses that have had a surge and an outbreak. So, anybody has any questions about the media and what you've heard through the media over the last 2 days, again, please feel free to call down to the administration suite or email me, and I will certainly get to you as quickly as I can. We wanted to get the information about our first COVID-19 case to you before anybody else. So I'm hoping that the residents of Cedarfield read their memo before they had heard about any COVID-19 cases through the media throughout the weekend. Okay, next up is bit of exit stage right here. That's going to come up here for about 10 minutes and give you a little segment here about landscaping, the beautification that's happening all around the campus. Since we want people to get outside, stretch your legs, and enjoy this property, that's going to give us a little information about the color around our community. So, that.
Thank you, Michael. Well, I'm trying to get settled in this wonderful, comfortable seat so I can chat to you this afternoon. We've had a wonderful day of rain. Some of you probably don't think it's that wonderful, but when you were putting in well over 1,000 plants this spring, anytime you get the opportunity not to have to drag a hose around campus, it's exciting news for that rain to be coming down. And of course, we all know that the rain makes our campus grow and prosper for all the things that are already in the ground and the new plantings that have been coming. And that's what I've been getting so many wonderful questions about. So I'm going to kind of talk you through some of the areas around campus and what's been going on. I think the place that's been getting probably the most attention is our wellness courtyard. And so I've kind of even lost track myself of all the plants that have been going in. So I went back and started looking over my notes and my plant lists and the different designs, and thought I would share some of those numbers with you. So perennials. Perennials are plants that come back year after year. It's a perpetual plant versus an annual that just lives for a growing season. So in the, starting around in March, moving forward to today, we have over 500 perennials planted in the wellness courtyard, and that includes the lower cascading pond and all the landscaping beds, as well as the upper pond and that landscaping, park view, and some of the other landscape areas and natural areas that are interconnected to the wellness courtyard. Shrubs. So far there are, goodness, let's see, how many shrubs went in? Around 38. 33 trees. That's a combination of both ornamental trees, deciduous trees, of course they're the ones that lose their leaves in the fall, and evergreens, which are typically our conifers. So we have a huge diversity of plant species and cultivars in our courtyard, and it's going to be very exciting. I know it's been quite a thrill, whether you're walking, looking out your windows, or just finding out this way what's about. Well, it's a planting fiesta. That's what's happening. It's just day in and day out, exciting to see all the new things going in. And of course, in my mind, I'm already seeing what those plants are going to look like and grow into in 2 years from now and 5 years from now. And just seeing where they're placed and what's going to be happening. So many of these trees have beautiful flowers that come into the various seasons that we have here on campus. You're going to be thrilled in the spring, the summer, and the fall. We have gardens here that are focused on being 4 seasons. There's always something happening, another surprise, another aha moment when you come upon that special plant that you've never seen before, you haven't heard of, and we have it here at Cedarfield. We're becoming quite a nice, focused garden here. And in addition, in our wellness courtyard, I know people have asked me, are we going to have koi in our water features? Right now the answer is no, and the ponds really aren't sculpted for koi to have the appropriate habitat to live. They need a deep kind of well center in the pond, and these ponds are not that deep, they're rather shallow. So we would not have the appropriate habitat for koi, and we really wouldn't have the appropriate means for them to be safe. Even though the wellness courtyard is somewhat privatized from many areas of Cedarfield campus, we still have our wonderful native wildlife. We have blue herrings, we have raccoons, so we have different predators that would find those koi very quickly, unfortunately. And koi, if anyone has had those or gone to purchase those, are quite pricey fish. They're beautiful and bright and attract the eyes of our predator birds and make a quick feast, unfortunately. But there will be some aquatic plants coming in the near future as we continue to get the pond environment stabilized and neutralized. And the upper pond, which is the one across from assisted living apartments, Don Branson was the first one to let me know and send me some wonderful photos of all the tadpoles that we have in the upper pond. It is amazing. So if you get the chance to walk over, you'll see those little creatures wiggling around. I think there are spring peepers that we hear in the early spring when the days first start warming up. And so please enjoy those, and we're actually hoping to capture some with our pond nets and seed the lower cascading pond with some of those too. So moving out of the wellness courtyard, I'm going to give you an update on our status for the resident gardens. I know it's been one check and another check and another check of things that have needed to happen with construction in order for us to finally get to that point where we can start assembling the beds for the resident gardens. And so as of today, we're looking at around a month, around 5 to 6 weeks at the most. So around in mid to late May, we should be able to begin what's needed for those gardens to start to bring the garden house in, to start the construction of the raised garden beds. So let's all cross our fingers right now and hope that this schedule will be able to stay in place and we'll be able to at last move forward with the last piece of the wellness courtyard and those wonderful resident gardens that we're all so looking forward to. Outside of our wellness courtyard, many of you that get out and walk, and I think many of you that haven't walked so much are finding it a wonderful opportunity in the spring because there is so much to view and look at. It's really starting to get to know the campus much more intimately. And our Park View four-season garden, which is at the intersection of Park View and the Lane, has just exploded with so many colors. The plants, this is going on the garden's third season. It's getting a nice maturity to it, and some of the iris that are out there blooming now are a must-see. You've got to take time to walk over, to smell the fragrance, and just enjoy in the excitement of all the beautiful colors that are coming out now. And the bearded iris aren't just all tall bearded iris. Some are mid-size, some are miniature, and some are mini-minis. So there's a little bit of everything over there blooming right now. So you've got to go check it out and see. The little smallest one is echolocation. Most of the plants over there are also labeled so that you can see the names of. And I'm also working on a video to put out soon that will showcase some of the wonderful plants that are blooming around our campus. But in addition to the iris that are coming out, the dianthus or cottage pinks, fire witch is one. You can smell the fragrance before you even get to the garden. It's a nice spicy, sweet aroma that's wafting out of these tiny little pink flowers on silver evergreen foliage. And they are exploding with color. They're only about halfway open. And they are a sight to behold. So not only are you getting interest, you're getting your senses tantalized over in that garden with touch and fragrance, the texture and the diversity of all the different plants. Is definitely, again, a location that you need to explore and enjoy here on campus. We have a few newer garden areas that you'll be enjoying as you're watching these go in. That's over in the AB courtyard. We have the Star Garden, a nice perennial border that borders the star that's over in our concrete area. We've added, for our bird lovers and our birding gear, we're starting this year for the first time to incorporate birdhouses into the landscape. And when I first came here, one of the first birds that I noticed were bluebirds over in the AB and BC courtyards. And so this year, 2 birdhouses went up. They're bird condos, and they're specifically for bluebirds with the size hole. Now, it doesn't mean other smaller birds may not take nests as well. And I'm very excited to report that we do indeed have bluebirds nesting in one of our houses. So it's very exciting. They're building their nest, and they should be having their chicks soon. We have another birdhouse that has gone up in the wellness courtyard on the wall going up toward Fellowship Hall, and we have 2 others that'll be going out in the near future. So I think that brings us up to date on some of the exciting happenings, the buzz that's going around campus. I'm looking forward to keeping you up to date about our campus and all the wonderful things that are going on with our plants, our nature trails. That's one I want to include very quickly. This is the first year starting the initiative to start introducing back natives onto our nature trail and pond trail. So our pond trail didn't get attention this year because of all the work that's going on with the dredging of the pond, but our nature trail has now Virginia bluebells that have been planted, and hesperus, which is Dame's rocket, and some native phlox, some native trillium, and a few other little gems for you to discover while you're walking on the trails. Thank you for listening and being here and keeping safe, keeping healthy, to continue to get out and enjoy the Cedarfield campus and all the plants that we have here. And thank you for always being so positive and uplifting with the landscape and the plants and everything that goes on here at Cedarfield.
Thank you, Beth. Beth did mention the pond dredging, little updates on some construction updates here. The pond dredging is still on target for the end of May to complete that project. The water detention system installation out by the Parkview entrance, that project may be a little delayed due to I think we have 3 days of rain this week. So we'll try to make up that time next week, maybe asking them to possibly work a Saturday. And then the D-wing portion to the campus, that second floor tunnel is due to shut down this week. So those of you that are, again, traveling, your normal course of Walking is on that second floor around where the old exercise room used to be. To get up that elevator down that corridor will be closed off this week. Speaking of D-Wing, the project is still on schedule to open up here in latter part of May, beginning of June. And we're working with the contractor and the county on the certificate of occupancy date at this point. So things are moving well with D-Wing. And the household project, there's a little bit of a delay because of the subcontractor related to steel, but it looks like that substantial completion date is still on target for October, November of this year. Operation Wellbeing is in full bloom. We have some dedicated team members, 11 team members to be exact, who are working together and in concert to make sure that residents in either the independent living apartments and or cottages that need some care, support, or connection have those things in place so that we're not losing sight of some of our frailer residents on the independent living side of the campus. If you have a concern about anybody due to direct contact with a neighbor and or being able to talk with somebody over the telephone, you're really concerned about somebody, if you could call down to the clinic, and the clinic will connect that particular resident with this Operation Wellbeing group in a very confidential way. Your name will not be mentioned. We do have a healthy list of residents within Operation Wellbeing that we're really helping with, like I said, care, connect, and support. For the families that are listening to this video tonight, you are attempting to drop off supplies for your loved one here, your friend. Today we had the opportunity for that program in the independent living apartments. It went very well today. On Wednesday, we will continue the program back up for residents that are living in the cottages. So please take advantage of that. Anybody interested in pre-planning for Friday? Friday's supply shuttle program is for loved ones that live in the health center, assisted living, and or the memory support area. Transportation, we are still providing medically necessary transportation. Ann Reed is still Monday through Thursday providing grocery shopping. If you have any details, family members out there or residents, if you have any details, you need details related to this specific program, feel free to call Amanda, and or you can go on to www.mycedarfield.com, and within that coronavirus module, you can download a flyer that talks about the grocery shopping program. If anybody has any questions, please text. I have my telephone here to answer any questions. In the meantime, just run through a couple other administrative updates. One has to do with Chesapeake Bank. So as every organization has certain protocols, Chesapeake Bank is no different when organizations are presented with a COVID-19 situation. And so since we had our first situation last week, Jenny in the bank has a different protocol now in order to provide banking services. So she physically is not here due to those protocols. If anybody has any banking needs that, because you're associated with Chesapeake Bank, if you can just continue to use the telephone number that is in the bank, they have forwarded that number to Jenny at an off-site location, I think her house, and she has her laptop at her house. So, but she physically won't be here for the next 14 days. So I wanted to give you that information about the bank. Just gonna check here, see if I have any questions. So the first question is, you've confused us. Do we or do we not have any known cases of Cedarfield at this time? And the answer is no. We have no known cases of COVID-19 at Cedarfield at this point. Second question came in. Those are some accolades that came in. And then the third question, how do I plan to inform the residents of COVID-19 cases? How do I plan to inform residents of COVID-19 cases? I plan to tell folks the number of cases is now a weird word for me. I'm planning to tell residents how many people may have a diagnosis of COVID-19. But I am not going to share a whole dashboard of information to the residents. How many tests we've done, how many tests were pending, how many tests are positive, how many tests are negative for both residents and team members. At this point, I am not getting into a situation where this communication or in print, I'm publicizing all of those specific statistics. I am going to continue to tell people how many active cases we have, and if somebody should pass away at Cedarfield, we are going to continue the legacy and the traditions that we currently have in place and honor those residents in that way and not make public announcements for folks who pass away from this day moving forward. Because quite frankly, if somebody does have COVID-19, if they have been tested and they're positive, we don't really know for sure why they passed away. They may have a positive case, but we don't really know for sure why they passed away. And so, to this date, we haven't told you or the general public that somebody passed away because of congestive heart failure, or we haven't told somebody that Mrs. whomever passed away because of Alzheimer's disease. And so, that's why in the beginning I was just telling everybody I was reflecting hard over the weekend about trying to find a balance between our culture, our transparency, our resident-centered philosophy, and we'll continue to do that over the next couple of days ahead. So, let me see if there's any other questions. Someone said I forgot my question. What did you decide about the meeting on Friday about housekeeping? Oh, great question. So we have been working, when I tell you we've been working actively with the Department of Health, since Thursday of last week up until about 30 minutes ago, we've been working really closely with the Department of Health. The epidemiologists and other folks at the Department of Health. And so they have advised us at this point regarding housekeeping services to continue with the restriction that we have in place. They have made some recommendations as to what they would view as an emergency in order to help residents who really can't bend over or get on their knees to clean whatever inside an apartment or a cottage. So they've made those recommendations, and Sharon Brown and the clinical team and I are meeting tomorrow to review those recommendations and come up with an emergency type of service that could be available. And I think that is all of the questions. No other questions? Again, I just want to highlight this specific phone number. This is something Henrico County has put into play, an outreach call center. If you know somebody here at Cedarfield, or if you know somebody really within the county that needs a little extra attention or somebody to talk to, the county is making available this service, 501-5454, and there's somebody live at the other end. You can also go onto the county website, and they have this program posted as well. Okay, so that is our update for today. Last up is Trish Carter with some words of spiritual health.
Good afternoon, everybody. One thing that I have really noticed about the Cedarfield community over the last few weeks in particular is how resilient folks are. It's mind-boggling. So I thank you for all the stories that have indicated that, and continue to look forward to hearing your stories. I wanted to share with you a poem written by, she's actually better known as a photographer in Tennessee, but I wanted you to see the words because it's such a visual poem. It's called A New Way of Struggling. To struggle used to be to grab with both hands and shake and twist and turn and push and shove and not give in, but rest for an answer from it all, as Jacob did a blessing. But there is another way to struggle with an issue, a question, simply to jump off into the abyss and find ourselves floating, falling, tumbling, being led, slowly and gently, but surely to the answers God has for us, to watch the answers unfold before our eyes, and still to be a part of the unfolding. But oh, the trust necessary for this new way, not to be always reaching out for the old handhold.